Wants the cake.
So, thanks to you all for sharing this wonderful evening with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
We have 2 kinds of pickles, and none of them are bread and butter chip pickles.
Mean work's never done.
That's right. You try, you just can't get it right.
That's great.
Party. We had a little bit left, so we bought chicken. It was a potluck. And Jackie said, well, how much do I have to pay? And I said, no, it's free. We had the money left over. She said, my kind of place.
Well, when Kenny was looking at this place, I didn't know anything about. One day at the lunch table, we're talking, Kenny pulls out these pictures and starts showing me all these pictures of this place down here. I'm scratching my head and said, well, Kenny hasn't been out of school recently. I said, Kenny, how'd you get these pictures? And he said, well, Frank Henry sent it to me. And I started scratching my head. And when Jack and I, after we got married, we went to California for 2 years, and that's where I met Frank Henry. And I didn't realize, I said, well, I said, I lived in California? He said, yes. And I said, well, how do you know him? He said, that's Nancy's brother. So, it's a small world. And then one time, after Kenny had already turned his letter in, he was retiring, we had a department meeting. And we're sitting in that department meeting, and we had 2 very young principals. They were gun-ho and things. They had this young man from Indiana State come in, and he was going to tell us how to run our classroom. And I was sitting next to Kenny. Kenny had everything laid out. And the guy started talking. Kenny just said, raised his hand and said, he says, how long have you been teaching young men? And the guy said, well, I haven't taught anything. I'm working on my doctor's degree. And Kenny just went, pulled everything up, got his chair up, and I'm sitting there, and sure everybody was sitting next to me, and I thought I was going to do it, because I thought, better not, I haven't heard my recitation. Kenny just pulled up everything, got up, and he left.
Terrific.
And we didn't have a cafeteria at our school, so we got to go out to eat. So on the way back, hired Berkowitz and John Bolden says, let's go to Denny Park. Well, I'm a little South Horner. I said, okay, we'll go. And John had a convertible, and we got down there where WTHI is on Ohio Street.
Which is a TV station.
It's a TV station. And the longest train in the history of Terre Haute went through, and it stopped.
Oh, now wait a
And
minute.
we were the front car there, so we waited and waited and waited. Finally, John Paul and I, we'd take our shirts off, and we'd get up on the other car and lean back against the windshield. And we sat there, and the train didn't move, and finally we looked at the clock, it was about 2:45. They said, well, let's go back to the gym, just shoot around. So we went back to the gym, and shoot around, and next day I'm getting ready for school, and John Polden calls the house and says, has your parents said anything? I said, well, he said, about skipping school, and I said, well, how do you know about that? Well, my dad had the paper, and I don't know why he was reading. And he says, have you seen the front page of the Tribune? And I said, no, there was John and I leaning up on the car. So I went to my 4-star class, and Mr. Arns, our history teacher, had the picture cut out and had it put it on the bulletin board there, and on the chalkboard, and I walked in and sat down, and he looked at me and says, well, Larry, he says, Mr. Proctor called you yet? And he was a dean of boys. I said, no, not yet. So about halfway through class, there's a knock on the door, and this little girl looks in and says, Mr. Crawford wants to see Larry. I started getting up, and Mr. Arns says, better take your books with you, Larry. He says, I don't think you'll be coming back. So I get up there, and they already had the Berkowitz twins and Poland in there. They was giving all kinds of stuff, and Si didn't say anything to me. Well, when we went to football practice that evening, we thought we were scot-free. So we went through practice, and after practice, after we did all our wind sprints and everything, we was walking off, and I can hear it now. Coach Larkin says, Howard, Steve, John, Larry, I want to see you. We get over there, and he says, put your helmets on. Toe the line, and boy, he ran our rear ends off of us. So they were seniors, but I never hopped again in my life. High school.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the end of that.
Yeah, we could have left him in, darn
I
it.
edited out the funny part, so
Okay.
this is what's left.
This is from Nancy and Ken Hamilton, friends from Las Vegas. It's entitled The Wild Wolves. The modern day Bonnie and Clyde. You've heard the story of Bonnie and Clyde, how they lived a life of crime. Well, there was a gang from the Haute who could give them a run for their money when they were in their prime. which was a day or two ago. They met in college at a time they did not waste. Larry was blown away by Jackie's exquisite taste. Unlike the, yeah, pick up your feet, okay. They met in, oh, I did that one. Unlike the Barrow gang, whose lives ended up in sorrow, the Wolf gang is whooping it up in Florida, living like there's no tomorrow. The Barrow gang drove a 1933 Ford to get away fast, and the Wolf gang had a silver caddy, a block long, just a memory from the past. Vacation with the Wolves in Spring Hill must have overdone our stay. They shoved us out of the airport without even stopping and said, "Stay away!" Went to the club with Larry and Jackie one night. Next thing I know, there's a twist contest, and guess who won first place? He ruined my appetite. One night at the Wolf's hideout, I had just finished my bath. When I joined the others in the living room, Jackie told me she was a Mensa in math. Larry is a good friend, but one thing he does that makes me sick. How can anybody have a Pepsi and a donut for breakfast? What a dipstick! Well, I didn't write this. Well, I better think about closing. I am running out of rhymes. I hope the Wolf gang has many more years in their hideout in Timber Pines. Happy 50th, Larry and Jackie. Now read mine.
We gotta scrap that one.
Oh, okay.
Some effort in there.
That's right. Dear friends, as opposed to John Anderson, haven't known you long. Just 63 years I figured out I've known Larry. Oh my God. I moved back to, well, I was born in Terre Haute, but I moved in from the farm. I was in the 5th grade. I was 10. He's much younger. He was only 9 in the 4th grade. And we lived about a 9-iron away from one another. If we played golf back then, which we didn't. We played, but you know, I had 2 brothers, so I played a lot of baseball and kickball and all that stuff with all the boys. So I've known Larry a long time.
You're not telling the whole story.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
You leave out what you want.
I am.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Linda.
Yeah, but you must.
Lynn and I, Bob, you know this, we had the first roll in the hay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Did we not?
Remember this.
Bill Hess's? Bill, what? Who was it?
Billy Wild's house.
Billy Wild's farm, barn, where we had a roll in the hay.
At the age of 8?
Well, we was young,
I was 10, he was 9. That's old enough.
we matured fast.
They were only rolling. That's right. Okay, so I've known Larry for at least 63 years. I've known Jackie somewhat less, but I remember her kids were little, and I remember she and I had the same hair color, and it wasn't this or that. We both had
Over there.
yeah, we both had really dark hair back in the day. And I also knew Larry when he was properly named Red because he really had red hair. A lot more red than his daughters. His was red. And so I've known them for a long time, and they've all been good years. And congrats on the 50 big ones from Linda and Bob.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. Close.
I also remember Larry's red hair, because we had never had a redhead in the family. And when Jennifer was a little girl, maybe 5 or so, I got to be her babysitter. So that was that's a very tender memory for me. And so I really am grateful for that memory. And now the redhead continues. So we're very happy about that, and I'm very grateful that my husband and I got to come from New Hampshire. And we hope for another few decades.
We'll come to your 50th.
That would be great.
Younger sister, I got Jackie in trouble when she was babysitting me. She was 13 years older, and both of our parents smoked cigarettes, and I think she had a public cigarette. And I told her.
Yes, because you found a pack in my purse, and I had to go.
No, I saw you.
nice.
But once I had to go to IU because you spilled the beans about those
Then you wouldn't
cigarettes.
have, but then you and Larry wouldn't have worked out. So instead of feeling guilty, which I almost did, I'm going to say it's supposed to be the way it worked out. And that even though I said I wasn't the best of sisters, but that you guys have always been the rock of Gibraltar, steadfast and there for me all the time.
I know that was okay.
See, listen here, I got to tell that story.
You're absolved.
It's just like school.
Wants the cake.
So, thanks to you all for sharing this wonderful evening with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.